This episode has been brought to you by JustNForm.com. If you're tired of being censored, tired of having your data stolen and sold, go to JustNForm.com, a social media site where all voices are welcome.
Kamala Harris, Kamala the chameleon. Kamala the cop. Kamala who pretends to be friends with black people but does things like announces her presidential bid on Martin Luther King Day, really whitewashing the history of Martin Luther King, who was anti-capitalism, who was anti-prison industrial complex, who was anti-imperialism, who was for freeing his brothers and sisters rather than putting them in jail for slave labor. But also, let's just talk about the fact that Kamala Harris, okay, you know who thinks it's a good idea to announce on Martin Luther King Day? Racists who don't know they're racist yet. Like who? Think about that. Somebody said, come on, you know what would be a great idea? If you're announced on MLK Day because you're a black woman, that would be really cool. Really? That's like the most cliche. It's like you don't know how to substantively address the fact that you've been screwing over black people for the last decade. So you try to do these nominal, surface level, like these vain attempts. These vain attempts to try and pretend like you sympathize or empathize with the black experience more than you actually do. Because you're going to have to answer when the chickens come home to roost. But it's not. She's not only bad on black issues. Remember, she courted Hillary Clinton in her little donor class. By donor class, I mean the donor class who can afford to buy $2,000 plates of food to sit in the same room with Hillary Clinton, because I don't even like, I think that the double cheeseburger prices at McDonald's have gotten too high. So I damn sure know I ain't. No, not me. Sorry. That $2,000 plate of food gonna have to get cold. Mess around with me. Sorry. But remember when they went to the Hamptons and they anointed her? That's what they did in the Hamptons. They said, you're the girl. It's like they haven't learned their lesson yet. But some people may be surprised at the amount of videos that I've done about Kamala Harris because they don't know about her history, right? Because she's done such a good job post-senatorial election pretending to be progressive. Remember, she's kind of for Medicare for all now. She thinks, she said that. She's against the mandatory minimum now as far as the criminal justice system is concerned. However, she used to be for it. She fought hard to keep mandatory minimums in play. But she's really good. She makes those riveting speeches against Donald Trump. And she pretends as if she actually cares or is concerned with the black experience now. So she's getting a lot of credit. But underneath those sad attempts to relate to progressives are the same neoliberal values that have kept us in this quagmire that we are in right now in this country. Let's check out this fantastic article from Mint Press News. Kamala Harris dons progressive mantle in public, but strips it off in private as she courts Israel lobby. Confirming long-held speculation, Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat from California, has announced that she will be running for president in 2020, pitting her against other Democratic senators such as Kirsten Gillibrand, who literally nobody is voting for, Elizabeth Warren, who has been silent ever since the whole entire world of social media destroyed her the day she was announcing, as well as Tulsi Gabbard. Solidarity. Harris's announcement has generated some buzz, but surprised few, as she has been considered a likely 2020 contender for the Democratic primary since early 2017, although nobody knew who she was except for Californians who despised her in early 2017. Harris first tweeted on Monday morning out her plan. She first tweeted out her plans to run for president along with the Clinton-esque slogan, "Let's do this together." Yeah, let's screw over the country together, people. She then repeated her announcement on ABC's Good Morning America, stating that I am running for president of the United States. I'm very excited about it. Harris, who decided to launch her campaign on the federal holiday celebrating Martin Luther King, later added, I love my country, which she literally didn't even spend half her life in, by the way. And this is a moment in time that I feel a sense of responsibility to stand up and fight for the best of who we are. What kind of moral platitude is that? Not, I'm going to fight to make sure that progressive policies are passed. Not, I'm going to fight to make sure Medicare for all is passed. Not, I'm going to fight to make sure that election fraud on both sides are held accountable, that paper ballots are introduced, that ranked choice voting is introduced. I'm going to fight for the best of who we are. What the hell does that even mean? Let's continue. However, despite the long promoted inevitability of Harris's campaign, which everybody knew was coming, she has failed to garner much enthusiasm from progressive voters, owing to her history of supporting neoliberal policies as well as her pro-Zionist leanings, which she's attempted to keep from the public view. Though hardly progressive, Harris, much like another 2020 hopeful in Elizabeth Warren, has sought to cast herself in such recent years in an effort to unite a fractured Democratic Party by publicly catering to progressives while also privately catering to special interest groups such as the Israel lobby. In this two-part series, Mint Press News will examine how Harris is set to emulate much of Hillary Clinton's failed 2016 campaign, particularly the distinction between her private and public positions while using identity politics to her advantage. This has already begun with Harris having courted past Hillary Clinton campaign staffers and million-dollar donors alike. In addition, top establishment liberals like Joanne Reid of MSNBC and Clinton advisor Neera Tanden are claiming that legitimate criticism and lack of enthusiasm for Harris for a Harris presidential run on the part of progressives stems from racism and sexism amongst left-leaning Americans, reviving the Clinton's campaign Bernie Bros narrative that characterized Bernie supporters as all white and all male. And I'm sure that you've all seen that. Everybody. Now, what is different this time, I will say, that I've seen a very clear distinction of is I feel like black people didn't move quick enough when critiquing Hillary Clinton's record with black people. Nah. When Harris came out, black people were like, I hate to be that person, but hell no. Like all over my timeline. Beautiful thing to see. One of the clearest examples of Harris's practice of courting special interests in private while painting a different picture in public is her position on the Israel-Palestine conflict. Let's call it what it is. The Israel-Palestine apartheid. While Harris once in 2012, while serving as California's Attorney General, stood up to the Israeli government pressure to persecute activists working with pro-Palestinian rights movements and boycott, divest, sanctions, BDS, in case you don't know, she made a concerted effort to court pro-Israel interests as she began to pursue her higher political ambitions, namely when she kicked off her 2016 campaign for Senate, which she undoubtedly cheated on. If y'all don't know, she lost the race, then she kept it going for 20 plus more days and all of a sudden found 150,000 more votes. It's crazy, right? Whenever Bernie Sanders lost the race, we had to stop talking about it. But whenever people like Kamala Harris lose races, they always find votes a little bit later to make sure their neoliberals win. Let's continue. Since then, Harris has kept a public persona of neutrality on the divisive issue by evasively responding to questions on the issue or avoiding them altogether. At the same time, Harris has been privately pandering to Israel lobbying groups in off-the-record speeches and during trips to Israel that she and her staff have chosen not to publicize. Ooh! Why won't you publicize? I'll go to Israel. If I was elected to office, I would go to Israel too, just to make sure Netanyahu knows exactly where I stand. Just to make sure that Lieberman and Netanyahu know that I know what apartheid looks like because I've studied history. I know what South Africa looked like. I know what Cuba looked like. I know what Grenada looked like. I know what this Israel-Palestine conflict really is. And it is one of the last remaining last-ditch efforts of maintaining an apartheid against people of color in that region. And I would have no problem publicizing that. And a lot of politicians, including Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders even, would have no problem publicizing their trips to Israel. But Kamala Harris is, in the media, by the way, is allowing this. Because if Bernie Sanders did this, they'd be quick to jump on top of him. If Tulsi Gabbard, remember when Tulsi Gabbard went to Syria? It wasn't like she made a big announcement about it. They made sure that the people knew. She didn't make a big announcement about it because, remember, in the last video I showed of Tulsi Gabbard, she said, well, we don't get policies passed by having conversations on television. Like, this isn't a reality TV show. This is real life. Real lives are affected. And we need to sit down like adults and try and reach peace. But, of course, they wanted to make everything a spectacle, it is what it is. That's what the media does, selectively. But, as Mint Press News states, this clearly reflects the image that Harris seeks to build herself as a progressive centrist candidate, meaning one who cultivates a public persona of progressivism while also supporting many of the hallmark policies of the establishment centrist Democrats and courting the mega donors of the Democratic Party. Once her 2016 Senate campaign was underway, Harris made it clear that she was willing to look the other way when it came to human rights abuses regularly inflicted on Palestine by the state of Israel. That year, in a questionnaire from the Jewish News of Northern California, Harris asserted that lasting peace between Israel and Palestine can only be found through bilateral negotiations that protect Israel's identity. Their identity is not a threat, but whatever. Ensure security for all people and include the recognition of Israel's rights to exist as a Jewish state. Notice she didn't even mention Palestine. They don't have a right to maintain their identity. They don't have a right to maintain themselves as a sovereign Arab state. But Israel is entitled to that right. Interesting. And I love how Mint Press categorizes this. They codify it as, i.e., a Jewish ethno-state that gives other ethno-religious backgrounds an inferior status. In that same questionnaire, Harris also praised Israel's Supreme Court, which helped to enshrine the apartheid and also legalize the targeted assassinations of hundreds of Palestinians during intifadas, uprisings, as a beautiful home to democracy and justice in the region where radicalism and authoritarianism all too often shape government. Harris went on to resoundingly reject the nonviolent BDS movement, saying the BDS movement seeks to weaken Israel, but it will only isolate the nation and steer Israelis against prerequisite compromises for peace. At a time where anti-Semitism is on the rise, especially in Europe and the Middle East, it is growing increasingly unstable. I believe we should not isolate Europe, the only democracy in that region, which, by the way, is a lie. It is a lie to assume that Israel is the only democracy in the region. A lot of that region actually has mixed governments. And Israel isn't really a democracy, it's an apartheid state. If you only give democracy to half of an entire nation, because that's what Israel is doing, when you only give democracy to half of an entire nation, that's not a democracy. It's not. Like, what? If anything, Israel is the least democratic state. They always say, well, we treat them with equity in Palestine, just like we do in Israel. You know what? I asked somebody who worked as a police officer in Israel one time. I said, are y'all allowed to have, like, are you allowed to exercise what we would call our Second Amendment rights to bear arms? Absolutely. Okay, so if you were to go into Palestine, if you were to visit a home and you found a gun, we would immediately confiscate it. Whoa. Why would you do that? Well, because they're not allowed to have guns. Well, why? I thought Palestine was part of Israel. So if you all are allowed to have guns, why can't Palestinians, who are literally under threat from Israelis running into their house, Why are they not allowed to exercise their Second Amendment rights? Oh, because they are dangerous, and you are inherently not dangerous, despite all the human rights abuses that are on record internationally. Like, it isn't just U.S. citizens who believe this. It isn't just the United Nations who believes this. It's not just the EU. I mean, literally everybody in the world knows you shot 50 innocent protesters with snipers. I would have a gun in my house too. Don't you think? To protect my family? But they believe, the government teaches its people to believe that inherently Arab Muslims are more rabid or less human than Jewish, Ashkenazi, or Sephardim people. Even if you were Arab, if you were Jewish, it is okay. And that is the type of mindset that Kamala Harris is announcing. So once again, we are already learning that Kamala Harris is going to court who I consider a political serial killer in Netanyahu. She's claiming to be for people of color, but ignoring the fact that it is people of color who are primarily under siege when we discuss the Palestinian-Israeli apartheid state. She won't even mention Palestine in her speeches as deserved of rights, same as everyone else. But people want to defend her and claim that if you attack her, that you are attacking a black woman, and that is right. Somebody said, I saw a post that said, please don't refer to a black woman as bought and sold. Thank you. Hold up. What? No, she's bought and sold. I don't give a damn what race she is. I understand the connotation of slavery, but like, we're not talking about that. So let's not be silly, people. Let's not be silly. Let's not be, let's not be childish. We know what bought and sold means. Stop taking legitimate critiques of somebody and pretending that there's something else. There is a part of the left establishment that is racist, but that has nothing to do. Not the left establishment, excuse me. There's part of that too. But there are progressives in the left who are racist. Believe that. That is a fact. But here's the difference. That has nothing to do with Kamala Harris. People who have critiqued Kamala Harris, 95% of the time are critiquing her record on how she's treated black people. On how she's pretty much denounced her black heritage, on the fact that her sister worked for the Podesta Group, Center for American Progress, which is Podesta's nonprofit, on the fact that her sister was third in charge of Hillary Clinton's advising team. Like, what is this? It should be an easy answer. We shouldn't be having debates about whether or not Kamala Harris is progressive, because clearly she isn't. When you are promoting the ignoring of human rights, basic human rights, you can't, by definition, be a progressive. And if you're going to take secret trips to Israel, what else are you going to do behind closed doors to make sure that we, the people, don't know your policy positions? We'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Like the video, share it, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. You can donate to our Patreon and keep helping the network grow by clicking on the link in the description below. And also, make sure you join us at JustNForm.com. And finally, make sure you subscribe to us on Roku and be part of the very first independent news network on Roku TV. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.